is recognized.
I thank the chairman. I thank you guys for being here. Just a couple of quick questions to the chairman. Am I not correct that there was a good deal of dismissal of the questions that some of our colleagues and were raising in 2020 and 2021, when some of our colleagues were raising questions about the origin, that there was a pretty significant amount of dismissal, both by some of our other colleagues, but importantly in the press. For example, February 2020 New York Times article, Senator Tom Cotton repeats fringe theory of coronavirus origins. Quote, the conspiracy theory lacks evidence and has been dismissed by scientists, but has gained an audience with the help of well-connected critics of the Chinese government, et cetera, et cetera. Is that not, concerning that in a world in which we're supposed to be exploring and seeking the truth wherever it may lead on issues as important as this, that we had such an immediate dismissal by the national press as well as some of our own colleagues just simply wanting to know questions that now we're saying we need to release information declassified, and we have at least two of our major investigative bodies, the FBI most notably, saying, yeah, there might be some truth to this deal. Are you as concerned as I am about that in terms of being able to assess information?
So obviously our committee deals with classified information, not necessarily the public discourse that happens in the media. But you are absolutely correct, of course, that during the public discourse to the origins of COVID, there was extreme polarization that did occur. But I do want to caution and lower the expectations. The report that we're asking to be declassified will not provide you an absolute conclusion as to the origins of COVID. There's no smoking gun in this report.
Right.
It is, I do believe, informative as to the types of statements that Director Wray is now making, that it is likely. And again, I think that's his, when someone says likely, he's stating his opinion. He's not stating a fact or an absolute conclusion. But again, as you were just citing, the importance of the weight of this type of information being in the public discourse, I think does help us all go forward. And I think it illuminates the path for what the administration and the intelligence community needs to do to get us even more definitive information as to the source and the origins of COVID.
Any thoughts to add to that, or? No? Oh, okay. The only thing I would add to that, in terms of I appreciate the point about saying there's no smoking gun, and I don't doubt that at all. I think my primary concern is that we, at least as a body, this is a good step, but again, in the seek truth wherever it may lead vein, I can't say with certainty, right? But what bothers me is the extent to which there was such rapid and immediate dismissal of the possibility. And remember, it was labeled as being, xenophobic, anti-Chinese, right? That it was somehow connected to and leading to violence here in the United States, and that these things were, it was off, you literally just couldn't go touch the topic of whether or not it originated in China, because somehow that would be, I don't know, racist or something to say that we can't go inquire as to whether or not this thing started in China. And and if it did start in China, whether it was through the markets or in a lab. And I do think this is important. And again, we'll see what's in it. You guys have seen it, and so we'll look and see. I would like to include in the record a letter that I and 13 of my colleagues sent to Speaker Pelosi on September 14th, 2021, seeking answers to questions surrounding the origins of COVID-19, specifically questions involving EcoHealth Alliance and some of the information that we know that the NIAID knew at the time, and was met with crickets from the then Speaker of the House. And I would just ask consent to insert that into the record, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection, so ordered.
And in broad terms, I would just say that I would note that the House Foreign Affairs Committee report in August of 21, that same year, like a month or two before we sent that letter to the Speaker, concluded, quote, "It's an opinion of the committee minority staff based on the preponderance of available information, the documented efforts to obfuscate, hide, and destroy evidence, and the lack of physical evidence to the contrary that SARS-CoV-2 was accidentally released from a Wuhan Institute of Virology laboratory sometime prior to September 12th, 2019. I don't know if they're right. That's just colleagues in the minority in the House Foreign Affairs Committee. I have no idea if they're right. But that was in August of 21, and I recall, the reactions of saying that that was, politically motivated, as opposed to trying to lay out alternative theories contrary to where the media was taking this whole question. But with that, I would yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields back.